County Board proceedings will now come to order. Would you please take your little iPad and punch in? Okay, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Supervisor Locke with the invocation.
We are meeting tonight to conduct matters of importance. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech so that we may reach a successful conclusion. Amen.
Amen.
You didn't write one for me.
Supervisor Robel.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move for the approval of this evening's agenda with one change. Resolution 99-112-014 will come before Resolution 95-112-014.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose? Carried. Is there anybody from the public that would like to address anything that's on the agenda this evening? Is there anybody from the public that would like to address the board on anything on the agenda this evening? That portion will be closed. Communications from the clerk.
You have a number of resolutions from other counties. The first one comes from Forest County, and it's in opposition to the lapse of Wisconsin judicial branch funding over the next 2-year period, forwarded to the Judiciary, Public Safety, as well as the Legislative Committee. A resolution from Juneau County in opposition to the proposed lapse in state funding to the circuit court system, also referred to Judiciary and Public Safety and Legislative. And a second one from Juneau County, supporting state funding for county 911 services / one designated public service answering point per county, referred to Judiciary and Public Safety and Legislative. A petition for zoning amendment from Richard J. Kiso in the town of Wolf River, requesting a zoning change from A2 to R1 for current residents to build a pole building, referred to Planning and Zoning. Petition for zoning amendment from Marvin R. Kasabuski in the town of Amro, requesting a zoning change from B2 to R1 for residential purposes, referred to Planning and Zoning. And a petition for zoning amendment from Kimberly J. Egan, town of Amro, requesting a zoning change from A2 to R1 for residential improvements, referred to Planning and Zoning. And that's all.
Okay, thank you. Reports from committees, commissions, and boards. Supervisor Warnke.
In your package today, I asked that the economic impact report for the airport be included, and I would trust that everyone on this board would look at this and read it, and so they could understand a little bit more of how important this airport is. This airport supports over 548 jobs. It brings in a total from the multiplier effect of over $40 million. And I would hope that you would read it and understand a little bit more of what we're trying to do out at the airport. We're trying to make improvements. Anyone who would like a report of this economic report can get a hold of Catherine Neiswender at the UW Extension. Her number is 232-1970, or you can get it on the web page at http://winnebagocounty.uwextension.edu, and I would hope that people would look into it and so that we could get educated as to what the importance is of this airport. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Okay, I would hope that you would get all the board members a copy of that?
They have a copy of it.
Okay, very good. Supervisor Norton?
Chairman, I know this is last minute, but we think of Winnebago County this Thursday from 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. are having a end of the year soiree, as they call it, where it's a free event and they want to thank those who've helped them in the past year. They'll be having Mexican dishes and a appetizer bar. So anyone is invited 4:30 to 6:30 at the Sunnyview Expo Center.
Thank you. Approval of proceedings of October 21st, 2014, October 27th, 28th, 29th of 2014.
Also move.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any additions or corrections for those meetings? Supervisor Haig?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On page 75 of the annual budget session, October 27, 28, and 29, there is Amendment 1 to remove 251,998 from the budget.
I'm sorry, I had to find something.
I never offered that amendment, so when I withdrew it explaining that I had never wrote or submitted such an amendment to the budget.
Which ones are, what page?
It's Amendment 1 on page, it says 75 in my book.
We will take care of that, thank
What
you.
was withdrawn? We distributed copies of it and then you withdrew it?
I withdrew it because I never offered it.
I don't know how we handle it. I mean, we have...
He did say that at the meeting. I said that during the proceedings, and it's not reflected appropriately in the minutes.
Okay, so it should never have been distributed?
That's correct.
Just start with amendment number 2.
Okay.
We will handle that, thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Schneider?
On page 74, directly under public hearing, I believe that should say no one addressed the board, just missed an E.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, with those two corrections, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. County Executives Report.
My report will be very short. I will just point out that we have Resolution 99-11-2014 regarding the award of sale of $4.4 million in general obligation promissory notes. You'll hear more details about that from a Baird representative, but I would strongly recommend approval of that bonding. The rates are very attractive, and this is part of the process of us reducing our debt over time. The amount that we're bonding for is less than the principal payment we'll make in April, and we're continuing the general trend of reducing our outstanding indebtedness. And that's my report.
Your appointments? Your appointment? Oh, Supervisor Farley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Harris, could you comment on the Juneau County resolution opposition to a lapse in state funding for the circuit court system? Can you tell us what your awareness of that is?
You know, I don't have a lot of knowledge of, but we're seeing some lapses in different areas of the county where there's money that initially was proposed to be in the state's budget, but there's changes occurring to the current budget and some funds are being lapsed, but I don't know a lot of detail on that.
Thank you. Supervisor Haig?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a recent snowfall, first snowfall of the fall here, and I'm just curious if you could put together a report for us in regards to the snow plowing effort at the airport. I received an email already about how some rather expensive equipment at the airport was not utilized because it didn't work appropriately or efficiently or something, in that they had to utilize snow plows instead. So I'm hoping you can put together a report for us and tell us if it's true that the expensive equipment that we purchased for runway clearing was not used, why it wasn't used, and how much in overtime or whatever costs for plowing were utilized instead. Thank you.
I'll do this right so that I know for sure, but I do know that the type of snow has an effect. At the airport, they try and use blowing of snow as much as possible, especially around the lights, because if you plow it, the compressed snow can break off those lights or break the lights. But if the snowpack is of a certain density, then the blowing's ineffective and it has to be plowed. But I'll find out for sure because that's a speculation. I'll find out what the real answer is.
My understanding is it had to do more with a brush. That was purchased, an expensive machine with a brush that was purchased and has not been utilized because it doesn't work. So,
I will look into that.
thank you very much.
Appointments, Mark?
I have a number of appointments. I have an appointment for the Board of Health, subject to your approval. I'd like to appoint Dr. Sam Hoffman to a 2-year term, which will expire July 1st, 2016.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
I have a reappointment to the Grievance Review Board, Joe Hotinsky. It's a 5-year term, which will expire December 31st, 2019.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
I have 2 reappointments to the Human Service Board, Harold Singstock and Michael Norton. These are 3-year terms, which will expire December 31st, 2017.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
I have 6 reappointments to the Local Emergency Planning Commission. Betty Erdman, Keith Kiso, Greg Gibbons, Janet Tetro, Deborah Berner, and Ernest Winters. And Beth Erdman will replace Bart Omaru, whose term will expire December 31st, 2017. Greg Gibbons will replace Nick Kleppert, and Ernest Winter will replace Bill Demler. These are 3-year terms, which will expire December 31st, 2017.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
I have 1 reappointment to the Veteran Service Commission, Dale Witzke, and this is a 3-year term, which will expire December 31st, 2017.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Well, just Supervisor Eisen had called and said that he would be late for this evening's meeting. Supervisor Ramos and Supervisor Hamlin had asked to be excused, and that's all I have. We'll go to, pardon? Oh, our Christmas party, you got on your desk, is at Kodiak Jack's on Witzel Street in Oshkosh, so we hope you can make it. Resolution 99-11-2014, award the sale of $4,395,000 general obligation promissory notes. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for approval of resolution number 99-11-2014.
Been moved and seconded.
Good evening. My name is John Meehan, and placed before you is a brief handout which has been reviewed in depth with the Finance Committee, and I'll be prepared to answer any questions as well from the board. At your direction, a competitive sale was held this morning at 10 a.m. We received 9 very competitive bids. The winning is a firm named FTN Financial Capital Markets, which is out of Memphis, Tennessee. It was so tight that the second place bid lost by .0006. So those are pretty tight bids. And the interest rate, true interest cost came in at a 1.87%. So rates continue to be low, and this reflects the fact that the county is a strong AA1 credit. There's a Moody's credit report in the back of the handout. The structure is a 10-year repayment, which makes it attractive to bidders, and the notes themselves are bank qualified for purposes of investments by banks. The notes are dated December 9th. That's when the funds will be transferred to the county. The principal is paid on April 1st, 2015 through 24, which matches your existing principal payment structure, and interest April and October annually. The structure itself, as I mentioned on page 4 of the handout, it's a 10-year repayment. We show the existing debt service of the county, and though you're not considering it this evening, potential future issues that may take place so that we don't structure this issue in a vacuum. We take a look at your existing debt as well as any future issues. As I mentioned, the Moody's credit report is in the back. They talk about the strength of the county, which was very attractive to bidders. A resolution has been prepared for your consideration by your bond counsel with the Quarles and Brady, which incorporates not only the interest rates, but the levy requirements, the fact that the notes do have a call provision at your option in the year 2021, and the overall structure that I discussed. I'll be happy to answer any questions as directed by the board.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Meehan? Yes, not?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We'll vote by our little iPad. Vote aye if you approve, no if you disapprove. That is passed. I have to go back up to zoning reports and ordinances. I had some question marks by it because some of the members were going to have to leave because they had some meetings going, but I see they're all here yet. So we'll go back to zoning reports and ordinances. Report number 1, James Sitzelberger, Town of Black Wolf. Supervisor Egan.
I'd like to give this to Supervisor Keller. This is in his area.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move approval of report number 1.
It's been moved and seconded to accept report number 1. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. A mandatory ordinance number 10-0114. Rezoning to A2 for tax parcel number 004044101. Supervisor Keller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move approval of a mandatory ordinance number 100114.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Report number 2, Aaron J. Dulke, Renee A. Dulke, Cheryl Messerschmidt, and Kevin Messerschmidt, Town of Mackay. Tom, do you take that one?
Yes. I move for the approval of report number 2.
Second. Been moved and seconded to accept report number 2. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. A mandatory ordinance number 10-0214. rezoning to R1 for tax parcel numbers 012-0287, 012-0287, 03, 012-0287, 02. Supervisor Egan.
I move for the approval of mandatory ordinance 100214.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. A mandatory ordinance number 3, Laverne Silverton, reversible trust, Phyllis Silverhorn, Town of Amro. Supervisor Egan.
I move for the approval of report number 3.
Been moved and seconded. The report number 3, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Accept the mandatory ordinance number 10-00314.
I move for the approval of mandatory ordinance number 100314.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Report number 4, Jeffrey Eagleski and Laura Eagleski, John Pronowski, and Robert Pronowski, Town of Wolf River. Supervisor Egan.
Move for the approval of report number 4.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. A mandatory ordinance number 100414, rezoning to A2 for tax parcels number 032-056001, 032-054202. Supervisor Egan.
I move for the approval of a mandatory ordinance 100414.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 96-11-2014, disallow claim of Enoch Artiga. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you. I move for resolution number 96-11-2014.
Was there a second? Pardon? I'll come back to it. Okay, was there a second to it?
Yes.
It was moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 95-11-2014, commendation for Gene Martinez. Supervisor Rasmussen.
I move for resolution number 95-11-2014.
Then moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 97-11-2014, disallow claim of Cooley Camp Trucking. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Move for resolution number 97-11-2014.
Then moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Now we'll slow down a little. Resolution number 98-11-2014, approving employee health clinic and authorizing contracts for its operation. Supervisor Rasmussen.
I move for resolution number 98-11-2014.
I'd like to, it was moved and seconded. I'd like the HR director to come up and explain what's going on. Here goes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have with me today Jan Stage from Associated Financial Group, our health benefit consultant, so I promised to let him talk a little bit if he came again to answer your questions. So we are here with the resolution to approve the clinic, which is the same one we talked about a couple of months ago at our presentation that we had planned. The present status is moving along very rapidly. The city and the school district have both approved the project. In fact, Renovation of the clinic site is underway, and the clinic operation is on track to open January 19th, is the intended opening date if everything goes well with the renovation. We had the contracts prepared and vetted by several teams of attorneys representing all the various parties, and that took a significant amount of time, but they're before you today. We have two contracts, essentially one between the county and Intera Health being the operator of the clinic. And that's the main contract that provides that, they will provide the services, we will pay so much per hour of provider time, plus a certain percentage of the lease costs. And the second contract is an intergovernmental agreement. That would be an agreement between the city, the school district, and the county, just to provide for joint operation of the clinic, provides for some resolution of disputes, provides that we'll have a team continue to look at the clinic operation, to monitor its progress, make any adjustments that need to be made in the hours or the number of hours of provider service that is available, or to the percentage, of the operating costs that each of the entities will be paying, and so forth. I can also report that we've described the clinic as a possible project to many employees at our annual benefit meetings. We had 11 employee meetings over the last several weeks with employees to describe the health benefits for 2015 and so forth, and we made this a part of our presentation. Of course, letting people know it was all subject to county board approval. It wasn't a certain thing, but I can say, in all fairness, that we had a very favorable reaction from employees at the prospect of being able to go to a clinic where they'd be seen by a nurse practitioner or a physician assistant who would be able to spend significantly more time with them than a typical general practice physician can, and get to know their health needs and be very proactive and wellness-oriented in trying to keep people in that healthy category and off of the expensive category for our health plan, which is good for all concerned. So I think there was a lot of good reaction to that, and obviously if the board has any questions about the clinic operation or about the contracts, we'd be glad to address those.
Supervisor Finch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just got a couple, and maybe it slipped me, but I don't recall us okaying that site. Now, did we okay it or not? I don't recall us doing it.
No.
Okay? Number two is, if we did, which we didn't, how much is this site going to cost us for rent? Are we just going to put out a blank check? I mean, why ain't this stuff in here right now? Why do we have to ask? It's like you're coming through the back door, gentlemen.
First of all, on the site approval, the site is technically selected by the vendor, Intera Health, and there are two other parties involved. We did have another site we were hopeful for that was out by Highway 41. That fell through. The landlord wouldn't lease it to us, or wouldn't lease it to Intera because Walgreens objected. So that fell through. We weren't able to find another site out by Highway 41. We did look at the Huber Center as a possible site, but were dissuaded by the substantial renovation costs and timeline that would be involved in remodeling that to be suitable.
Well, the nice thing about the Huber Center would be, sir, it would be that the bus runs right by there. All ways, all east, west, south, and north. So it's not that I'm pushing for the Huber Center, but I don't know. I've got just a icky feeling about what's going on right now.
Supervisor Rule.
Well, let me just add, the question was, is the county just opening up and having a blank check for this? And the answer is no to that there are costs that are being shared with us, and it's important to remind everybody that in the first year, the Wisconsin Counties Association Group Health Trust is picking up the cost of the clinic for the county. And what's important about that is clinics have a good run of being successful for employers in reducing cost. In starting them up, the biggest risk is the startup. Initially, the cost to the upstart expense, and then getting people in, and then covering that first year. And the county is fortunate that the Wisconsin Counties Association Group Health Trust is picking up that expense.
Supervisor Rowe?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One quick question and one comment. The question is, has the city and the school district approved this plan? They both have?
Yes, that's correct. They both approved the both agreements.
Very good, thank you. The comment that I have is that I've talked to a number of counties that have done this. I get nothing but glowing reports. I fully support this plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Haig?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I have a couple of the same concerns as Supervisor Finch in regards to the cost. I mean, there's no financial statement attached to this. If we're receiving money from Wisconsin Counties Association Group Health Trust, usually we have to accept that money in order to spend it, and we haven't had a resolution to do that. So it doesn't say how much we're getting from them to do this. It sounds like renovation is already underway without us approving anything, even though the school district and the city have already approved it. I have previously extended concerns about whether or not entities on the northern end of the county have been warmly invited to participate in this, and I don't disagree rather with Supervisor Rowe. I think it's a good concept. But with that said, I would like it to be the invitation extended to all entities in the county. And I don't think that that has yet been done. So even though we're renovating, I don't know that we have finished inviting. So with that said, I don't know that I can support this. Thank you.
A couple of points on the reason the renovation started is, of course, that the city and the school district have both approved it, and they're going ahead with or without us. With respect to the entities at the north end of the county, I have talked to some people with municipalities, NINA in particular, and at least indirectly through the school district and city of Menasha, who I understand have a certain level of interest. Now, they're not quite ready yet, I don't think, but I have reached out to them, sent them an email, a couple of phone calls, and they know we're interested in being a part of that. The school district in Neenah is also very interested in doing something like this, but they have a different insurance company who only wants to, my understanding is they will only do a clinic if it's operated by Humana, which is, their insurer. So there's some complicating factors, but that's definitely in the picture. And this deal wouldn't foreclose us from being a part of a clinic operation in the north end of the county. And I've let all the entities up there know that we are interested in participating in that if something gets off the ground. Yes.
Supervisor?
I wanted to answer the question, though, as far as how is the Group Health Trust paying for this? And in setting it up, it's going to be, they're going to set it up like another provider. So as opposed to someone going into a doctor's office, getting a bill and paying it, we're setting things up with the clinic that a similar situation would happen. So it's not like the money is coming through the county and then being paid to the clinic. It's actually going from Group Health Trust to the clinic as payment as a provider. And the other thing I think we have to remember too is that this is a joint effort in that whatever is done has to be done with the school district and with the city. And neither the school district nor the city have employees on the north side. And I understand how it's important. It's important to you. And we have reached out to those entities up there. And that is something that we'll continue to do. But to get things started and up, we had to work with the city and the school district to get something that was agreeable here first.
Supervisor Lautenschläger?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I too want to make a comment like Supervisor Rowe. I do medical transports for the patients at Winnebago Mental Health Institute, and I transport them to the outside medical appointments. And this afternoon, I had to transport a patient down to Fond du Lac, to Aurora Clinic down there. And as we were walking down the hall towards our appointment, we walked past an office that said Fond du Lac School District. And it was interesting because I looked in there, and there was probably about 5 or 6 people sitting in a waiting room. So, I mean, apparently, these people are going to these clinics. So, I mean, I was happy to see that. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Wingren?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. most of us believe that government should be open, honest, and accountable. And I want to publicly commend Mr. Collard for the effort he has put into this. Everything here is right here for us to see, very open. He's been upfront all along with what's involved, what's not, very honest. There are provisions in here I can see that will have like an overview of this as it goes along. That's accountable, so I certainly trust him and urge my fellow supervisors to support this because it's good for the employees and it's a good cost saving for the taxpayers.
Thank you. Supervisor Eisen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What is the impact of this arrangement looking forward to the Obamacare Cadillac tax? What will be the implications? Is it going to be favorable? Is it going to bite us?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it is important to note that any cost for a clinic does have to be included in your health care cost in calculation of the Cadillac tax in 2018. So that has to be included. But there's two areas that we're focusing on in reducing cost. One is called diversion. And what we're talking about there is care that would normally go to a regular physician or even a hospital would instead go to the clinic. And the advantage there is it's less cost going to the clinic than it would be to a traditional provider. So that's one area of savings. And the other one is in the area of chronic disease, where if we can increase compliance with meds and more management of those conditions, we can reduce those expenses too. And actually the bigger opportunity is with chronic disease and saving costs as opposed to diversion. And so as a result of both of those, we expect to reduce future increases in healthcare costs as a result of that.
Is there any incentive written into the Obamacare law, the Affordable Care Act, that would induce or incentivize municipalities or other organizations to band together and to promote this type of preventive health arrangement?
There is nothing specific in the law regarding clinics for employers.
Well, maybe when the Republicans get back to work, they're going to, throw something like that in there.
Supervisor Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the concerns among, I know, hospitals in particular is the cost of keeping ER open, and the primary effect of that is how many people use the emergency room as a walk-in clinic. And so my question to you is there something in this that would not necessarily penalize people for going to ER, but encourage them to use the clinic instead of ER?
Well, certainly it would provide many people with a better option, a more convenient option, and I agree with you 100%. Too many people use the ER as their main doctor, their primary care, and that's very expensive. And our plan doesn't offer a lot of disincentives for people to do that. But the clinic would be a more convenient option, and employees will know that if they go there, it doesn't even count toward their deductible, so there would be a financial incentive to employees to use.
But if they did go to the ER, it would count towards the deductible?
Yes.
And if they went to the clinic, it would not?
Right.
Okay.
Supervisor Finch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not against this, but I just was so surprised that there was no money discussed as far as what the building was going to cost. You could save money here, but end up paying money out there. And that's why I was just so surprised, because usually we have the money up front, But I am for this. I'm going to vote for it, because I've talked to at least 10 different county employees, and if they're willing to take the jump for it, then I feel then why not let them do it? But I'd just like to know what we're going to pay for this clinic. That's all.
And the reason the money isn't presented the same way it might be, or you might expect it, is that, as Jan mentioned, the money is really being funded by the insurer directly to the clinic as if it were another provider. So it's not like the money is coming into the county and then getting paid out by the county, so you don't see that kind of income and outflow. But the insurer realizes that they're going to save money, and so the only money that comes from the county is from the premiums, which we have to pay anyway. So that's really how we expect it to be funded, and we expect that, the results are going to show up in our future premium increases. We do have, some more analysis of projected costs, but they're pretty speculative. In other words, I can tell you that our projection is that if about 7.25% of our business goes to the clinic, we'll at least break even, be able to pay the rent. And we do have figures for the rent, but Interra's paying the rent, and charging the insurance company for it. And, if we have 20% of our business, of our healthcare expense going to the clinic, which is very realistic, over 3 years, we could save $1 million. But I'm hesitant to present those numbers as fact because we don't really know what the utilization is going to be. It's fairly speculative. But we have looked at those numbers, and we have some good examples to go by that have saved money for their plans.
Since you guys won $1 million, can we hold you to that?
No. That's why I didn't put that in front of you. I can give you all sorts of numbers if you want, but that's why I say I don't like to give you numbers unless I have, some certainty in them.
Supervisor Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if my colleague, Mr. Finch, was heading towards this or not, but who is paid for the cost of the renovation?
That's included in the lease expense, so the landlord is paying it up front and then including it in the lease costs.
So we are with the other...
Well, so Interra is paying it on a monthly basis, and then that gets split up among the 3 entities and paid by the insurance company.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Supervisor Eisen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've heard of all of the benefits of participating and anticipated fiscal savings. What are the downsides from participating in this, and what has the county got to lose by being part of this partnership?
Absolute worst case scenario would be if absolutely nobody goes there. And then we have a 3-year lease we have to pay 30% of. And I guess to complete the worst case scenario, I'd also assume that the city and the school district don't go well, so they aren't willing to pick up our share and take on more of our business. And I guess also as part of the worst case scenario, I'd have to assume that the group health trust will either go away or refuse to pay it after the first year, because we only have a 1-year contract with them. We expect that they will pay it every year, but I can't guarantee that. So in the second and third years, if we have absolutely no one go there and no way to minimize our costs beyond that, I think we end up losing $163,000 a year. So there's $320,000 of county money that would be at risk in an absolute worst case. But as I said, I think we only need 7 or 8% of our business to go there to cover that.
Are there any other downsides to participating in this, pilot project, so to speak?
The only other thing I would add is that, again, reminding everybody that there are 2 other entities in this, and that any decisions going forward have to be made in conjunction with them. Other than that, I really wouldn't offer anything else.
So it's a high benefit and it's a low risk opportunity.
I would agree.
I support it.
Supervisor Knudsen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, if Nina Menashe gets in here, who are your contacts and what would it take for them to come in?
There are a lot of possibilities about how Nina or Menashe might come in, and part of it depends on their insurance arrangements and their funding. I mean, the contacts I have with Nina are, I've been talking with the HR director of the city of Nina. I've been emailing with the superintendent of the school district. I've only had indirect contacts with Menashe, both the city and the school district, but they both work with the Group Health Trust. So I just talked with Kim Hertz from the Group Health Trust this afternoon, who is going to a meeting today, with the Menasha people, and I asked her to remind them that we were very interested in being a part of anything that may come out of that. So I think there's some discussions going on, and that's about all we have right now.
Thank you. And how will it change or alter the agreement?
It would really depend how they wanted to do it. I mean, one option would be they could come into our agreement and we'd set up another location in the north end of the county, and our intergovernmental agreement that's before you allows for the possibility that other entities can come in and become a part of the agreement by a majority vote, I think, of the three current members, or existing members, if you approve it, the county, the city, and the school district. So one possibility would be to join that intergovernmental agreement. On the other hand, they may want to do things differently and with a different provider and under some sort of different arrangement, and so I can't really answer that without, having gone further in discussions with them how they would want to set that up.
Thank you.
And Menasha does belong with the school system. The city of Menasha is in with the school system now, correct? I mean, the city of Menasha school system or other school systems.
Well, they both have the same insurer. They're both with Group Health Trust now, so I think they're meeting together to talk about it.
I just want to add to that, because I think this is important. And remembering what the county went through to get to this point, to have a clinic, it started about a year ago. And we started from ground zero. So the expectation of contacting anybody on the north side and convincing them to join this effort at this point and expecting them to, I think is a big wish, because I think they would want a whole lot of information, just like the county, city, and school district did here before a final decision was made and they moved forward. So I think reaching out to them and getting it started is one thing, but getting them to commit and be part of it is going to take some time.
Supervisor Hagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I think that that's the point, Jan, is that these entities should have been contacted from the beginning and should have been invited from the beginning. And again, that's my biggest concern about this, is that they weren't. In regards to Supervisor Eisen's question, say if 10% of county employees go to this clinic, are those 10% of people who don't go to the doctor? Can we assume maybe half of those people don't go to the doctor right now? And I ask that question because the only other downside is we have other medical providers in this community, and we are potentially pulling patients from those other medical providers. So I asked that question during the presentation, and I think that is the other portion of the fiscal impact that we don't know is it possible that we are taking patients from other doctors in this area right now who, may be struggling in private practice just to serve, those patients who they currently serve?
My answer is possibly, but let me dig into this a little bit deeper and give a little bit of an extended answer of what the goal of the clinic is and hopefully what we hope to reach. And that is, our hope is to get to those people who aren't going today. And where are we starting with that? We're starting with the health risk assessments, something the county's done the last couple of years and it's gotten great participation. So that's our start. What we're doing with those is trying to identify those people who have chronic disease and who may not be getting treatment for it today. So one of the next steps we have to look at is, what incentives do we put in the plan to get those people who have chronic disease, who aren't doing anything about it, to take a next step in their life to see someone, and how do we encourage them to go to the clinic? So the hope is that we're not taking away from other providers, but I'm sure we will. And it's hard to estimate what that will be.
I don't disagree with you, and I think we're hearing a ton of commercials on the radio. I mean, you can't drive for 15 minutes without hearing a Jordy Nelson Strong commercial about men's health. So I don't disagree with you, but I think that was a question that was asked during your presentation, and maybe it's because you can't identify that information that none was supplied, but you would think in some of these other counties where this has been employed that there would be a study, an economic impact study that might have some data from the private practitioners in that county that might say, is there a negative net effect of income with those doctors and patients, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the information that we don't know. And Mr. Eisen was asking about benefits, et cetera. We know the benefits. I think some of the backside of it, the unintentioned portion of this is yet unknown. So, thank you.
Supervisor Norton?
Thank you. Two very quick questions. One, is implied that the advisory group will be made of equal representative of each entity?
Well, essentially, yes, although it was structured as an informal body. In other words, they don't really plan on taking votes. It's a forum for discussion rather than, you have one vote and you have one vote and you have two votes.
And that leads me to maybe the next question. When a party has to make a decision, who is making that decision? Does that mean that this whole board would have to make a decision up or down for Winnebago County? And likely, does that mean that government entity, or who's making that decision for the party?
Well, the agreement was written with that left undefined because I think it's really up to each entity to decide who has authority to act on behalf of it. So I didn't want to dictate, who can act on behalf of the city or the school district. In terms of the impact on the county, I think the normal day-to-day decisions, do we need to change hours and things, that's a matter that I would probably handle subject to approval of the county executive. If we're talking about, making a change to the intergovernmental agreement, I think that's something that will come back to the board.
And that's what I was kind of alluding to, like expulsion of a party or addition of new parties. Who's making that decision? If a city of Neenah or whatever wants to add, does they have to come before all three entities to say, yes, they can join this intergovernmental group? Or that's my question. Who's making that decision?
And I say, I don't know that we have to identify all those possibilities ahead of time because they are going to be different for the three entities. In other words, the school district operates differently than we do, very much so. In our case, I think, the day-to-day stuff would be handled as an administrative matter, but if it's a major change in the agreement, and I would probably include adding other parties to it, I think that would probably come back to the board.
So, my last, I'll get on this, is, so for Winnebago County, are you going to make the decision, or the county executive going to make the decision, or does the county board make that decision? I guess that's what I'm trying to boil down to, and I haven't really, in my mind, I haven't got that clear answer. I'm not talking about hours, I'm talking about things like, expulsion of parties, or addition of parties, or, those big decisions. I mean, who's going to make those decisions for Winnebago County? And if it's not that clear, if that's not clear, I understand that, but I think that should be clear in the near future.
I would have to think that the administration would mean Mr. Colliard and the executive.
Mike, any administrative decision is going to be made by the county executive, but if it's a policy matter, just like anything else, and that would include changing the intergovernmental agreement, which would mean, part of the intergovernmental agreement's adding parties or deleting parties, those decisions are going to have to be approved by the board.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. We'll vote by our little iPad. Vote aye if you approve, no if you disapprove. That is passed. Resolution number 111-2014 authorized the appropriation of $15,000 for the purchase and installation of a salt brine tank and dispensing system for County Highway Department at the new County Highway 26 salt storage facility in the town of Nakaimai. Supervisor Robel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move for the adoption of Resolution 100-11-2014.
Second. Been moved and seconded. See, now if we would have had this already last weekend, before last weekend, there wouldn't have been the accident on 41. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimous. Supervisor Robel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move that we adjourn until December 16th on Tuesday at 6 PM for our next business meeting.
Been moved and seconded. We are adjourned.